Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. The edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitysdownfall. More information in the description.
Your Words Destroyed My Planet. Chapter 47. You're obnoxiously happy, or so Hal has told you every time he sees you. You can't help it. You have basically everything you could possibly want. It's been 2 weeks, and the most friction that's happened regarding your new relationships is Karkat and Signless reopening their argument, and even that wasn't so bad because they did seem to settle it. You're not sure how, exactly. You and Dave retreated to your room, and then you ended up distracted for a while. It's good, though. Everything is good. Finally getting to properly jam with Karkat without feeling like you need to hold back from getting undeniably pale is a goddamn relief. It's as if your soul has been tight, like a knotted and sprained muscle, but now you're finally able to have Karkat get his strong hands where you can't reach. Watching Dave and Karkat around each other is really interesting, too. It's nice, because they're both happy. Of course there's that. It's just interesting how different Dave is with him compared to you. He's not totally different. Dave's still Dave. He still pushes Karkat's buttons and annoys him for fun. He still has quick answers or stupid jokes to whatever Karkat says. It's not the same kind of antagonism that you get from him, though. When you've seen them together in any situation that's romantic, Dave is almost... You don't want to say passive, but that's nearly it. He's sweeter. He's happy to let Karkat lead for the most part, and when Dave is the one making a move, it's a calm kind of change between one and the other. Very chill and cool. Not so much with you. With you and Dave, you're both competing constantly for the upper hand in a way that's absurdly fun, and over the dumbest shit, too. This morning, you both left your rooms at the same time, both intending to go to the ablution block to shower. You caught each other's eye, and instantly it was a no-holds-barred race to get there first and win. You're buzzing for a chance to take him by surprise and prove yourself. Karkat doesn't have that, so he gets to sit on the lounge plank, choke laughing into a bowl of cereal as he watches the two of you. All of this leads you to your present situation. You're in Dave's respite block, sat at his desk with a needle and a syringe. Dave's door was locked, but with your psionics, a lock is more of a suggestion than anything. Also, you're not going to go snooping through his things. That'd be a violation of his privacy. You have no intention of doing that. You unplug Dave's keyboard and carefully clean the keys. You approve of how they're not actually that bad, as opposed to Karkat's keyboard, which may well harbor the next intelligent life that you encounter. With the keyboard cleaned, you carefully uncap your syringe and tap at your palm husk screen to wake it and show you the pattern that you want. You squeeze the syringe ever so slightly and get a tiny blob of black sealant on your claw tip. You'd eyeballed the two colors before, but up close you can see that they're basically identical. Excellent. Very carefully, you squeeze out just enough sealant on each key to make multiple raised dots, but also manage to avoid interrupting the printed letters on the keys so that Dave is unlikely to notice at first glance what you've done. You glance back at the Braille alphabet on your screen as you relabel every letter to spell out things like Solix wins across a row. You mark all of his number keys to 2 and amuse yourself with the symbols that he combined to make a spade wherever you please. It takes you a good while to get through all of it, as you're very careful to do this whole thing properly. When you've done your last key, the first is dry. You carefully feel it and wonder how Dave can possibly read this. You can feel that there's something there, but you'd be at a loss to pick out a pattern or a shape at all. You know that it's not too subtle because you've gone around touching any packages or signs that you can find with Braille on them, and this is about the same. You recap your syringe of sealant and grin at a terrible thing very well done. You can't wait for Dave to find out about this. Honestly, you got this time unsupervised in the hive at great expense to yourself. You woke up yesterday with one of those disgustingly awful migraines, and Karkat insisted that you'd be going to a doctorist about this. You had tried to assure him that you didn't need to do that, but It's hard arguing against Karkat. It's especially hard when he doesn't just try to boss you there, but admits that he's scared that something could really be wrong with you. So you had no choice but to agree to go. Managing to schedule your appointment so that you'd miss the physical sailor training that Dave has been doing for Karkat was one thing, but lining up this little scheme so you'd have the hive to yourself to vandalize Dave's keyboard was a stroke of brilliance, if you do say so yourself. Unfortunately, you need to get going to that appointment soon, so you don't have all day to sit here and pat yourself on the back. Why are you in here? Matuna asks from behind you, scaring you out of your, Dave's, seat and a foot into the air. Don't do that! You yelp at him. What, are you in here stealing his underwear or something? Disgusting. Does he have anything fun? Matuna cackles. I'm not stealing his underwear. I'm screwing with his keyboard to annoy him. You insist. You could also steal... He starts. Nope! Anyway, I've gotta go get my Think Sponge scanned. Wanna come with? You ask, and let yourself out of Dave's room and back into your own, just so you can float your syringe of sealant safely away into a drawer and out of sight. Ooh, we can prove you have one! Matuna teases you. You turn around to bicker with him and are surprised to see that Sai is there too. He probably was there before, but you didn't see him in the dimly lit part of the room near the front door. It's only you here, so you don't bother to leave all the lights on. Oh, hey Sai, you say and wave at him. Psionic smiles at you and steps forward, his body reforming from black smoke with far more ease than it used to. He's been remembering how to be a person more and more. You've not seen him all that much, but people have seen him and Signless together all of the time. Not that you blame him. If you got separated from Dave and Karkat like that, then you'd be all over them when you saw them again, too. I'm going to go get my Think Sponge scan because of these stupid migraines. Wanna watch? You offer. Psionic shrugs, but he seems amenable to going with you. It'll be nice to have the company. You don't care if people see you walking around talking to them. You know the others try to be subtle, but you don't care. It's not like people don't know who you are and just how haunted you are. Psionic looks around the hive and circles his hand around in the air, towards the points of your door, Dave's, and Karkat's, along with a curious noise. They're out, working out and training, you explain. Level up, Psionic says in a snippet of audio yanked from some game. The look that he's giving you is a little judgmental. He was busy in Dave's room, messing with his stuff. Matuna rats you out. Psionic can't understand his words, but Matuna's very expressive, and he points at you and Dave's door. Psionic gets the picture. He's blind sometimes. There's an alphabet that you can read by touch, and he knows how to do that. If his keyboard is more textured now, then no one can prove that I did that. You say innocently, and grab your shoes to put them on. Psionic laughs at your words. Not that you thought he'd do anything but approve of your actions. When you're done, you get up and head out of the hive. So, what's really wrong with your Think Sponge? Matuna asks you as the three of you walk out of your hive stem. Nothing's wrong with my Think Sponge. Nothing beyond the same generic captor issues. Karkat's just worried that these migraines showing up all of a sudden mean I'm gonna die or something. You explain. Wait, what happens to us if you die? Matuna asks quietly. I don't know, but I'm not dying. I'm pretty sure that it's just my head adjusting to whatever's going on with the void and that I've got double the normal number of ghosts. You explain. Psionic waves a hand through your chest and then holds up his finger and thumb in a circle. Okay, you're right. The normal number of ghosts is none, but I meant normal for balancers. You correct yourself. Actually, everyone's haunted by a ghost. One, at least. You're just a ghost haunting a meat suit, Matuna points out. I'm not a ghost haunting a meat suit, both because that's a gross way to put that, and I hate it, but also because it'd mean I'd have 3 ghosts, and I'm not accepting that, you say with a grimace. You've taken to answering anything Matuna says with pretty much a repetition of what his point was. That way Sai keeps up with the conversation. Your ancestor nods wisely and continues following you. Now that he's a person shaped more often, you can get a better look at his body language. You can tell more about what he's looking at and doing. Right now, you notice that every time you walk anywhere where you can see out into a wider area of the ship, he's looking around. Not in a casual observation kind of way. He seems really on guard. His focus darts about in each new space, like he's trying to spot any threats. It reminds you of the intense focus that Dave had on planet when you were anywhere that made you too vulnerable. But you suppose that your ancestor also had a large part of his life spent on guard for threats, didn't he? You try to focus on where you're going, but as you go to look ahead again, you realize that Matuna is also watching Sai. Your eyes meet, and you wonder if he was thinking the same thing as you.
He always does it. I think he's looking out for Bro and GHB,
your den sister says quietly. Psionic looks around at Matuna's lower voice. You feel like an asshole cutting him out of the conversation, so you have to say something. Have you seen Bro much? You ask. It's easier to ask about one than the other. More variables in a question only adds complication. Psionic shakes his head, but he doesn't look thrilled about the answer. I doubt you want to see him, so do you think that not seeing him is bad? You ask.
Silas thinks the asshole's scared,
Matuna sneers. He's definitely scared of Silas, but you trail off as Psionic goes back to peering through the next large window in the overpass that you're walking through. If it was just Bro being scared, then Psionic wouldn't be looking for him like that, would he? Are you looking for GHB? You ask. Your ancestor shrugs half-heartedly and seesaws his hand. You guess that means that he's keeping an eye out in case the giant purple fucker happens to be there, but that's probably not why he's looking. Which means that he's looking for Bro. You're not reassured by this at all. You should bring this up in the balancer chat later, see what everyone else thinks. You're not really sure what the options would be. Since he can't be reasoned with, the only options to change things about Bro's behavior is to banish him or to drag him to Dave. One makes Dave unable to balance, and the other makes everyone miserable and will absolutely start a fight if Silas, Psionic, or Matuna are in your hive with Dave at the time. Dave's kind of screwed here. With those thoughts weighing on your mind, you make the rest of the journey to the hospital in relative quiet. A few times you and Matuna comment about an advert or a building that you pass, but not much else. When you get to the hospital, you head up to Equius's office. He has plenty of experience with think sponges, since he's got Dave's wired up to his eyes, as well as the rest of his patients with prosthetics that work from neural input. Beyond that, you trust your friend, and you bet that Dave and Karkat will be more inclined to trust his verdict about your head than anyone else you might see. You may have other motives as well. Hey, EQ, you call out as you knock on his door and lean inside.
Coming in before I say does defeat the purpose of knocking, but thankfully I was just finishing some notes,
Equius says without looking up. Nice to see you, too. I have Matuna and Psionic with me, too. I didn't bring them because I thought you needed them or anything. They're just here because they're bored, I guess. You explain and sit down.
Oh, well, hello. I assume that you don't mind them seeing any of this. I'm not really sure of how privacy applies to dead people that I can't see or stop from observing,
Equius says uneasily. They're fine. I don't mind. I consent, if that makes things easier for you to deal with. You tell him.
It does. Well, tell me exactly what the problem is. I can see that the migraine medicine that you've started taking again, and your previous history with that,
Equius says, glancing over his screen. Right. Well, right before I got these two, I had the worst migraine I've ever had. The only thing that helped at all was pressure, and even then it was the worst. It went away when they arrived, but lately I've had more migraines. Not as bad as that first one, but really bad. The only thing that touches it is that medication. I thought it might be stress, but it's not gone away even now that things are way less stressful. Carcat and Dave think it might be a void thing, but Carcat wants me to come here so you can see if my brain is, I don't know, filled with tumors or something. You explain. Equius frowns a little and leans one elbow on his desk, resting his chin in his palm as his fingertips tap out a quick little beat on his cheekbone.
Stress could be part of it, but have you had any other problems since you got back? Sleep disturbance? Feeling unwell? He asks.
Nothing unusual. If there's something big at work that I'm trying to solve, then I'd sleep restlessly, but that's normal stuff. It's just these migraines. I've not started eating anything different. I lived with Dave before we left for Somnos. The only thing that changed for me is how haunted I am. And sure, the whole ship knowing about the balancer situation is a lot, but I wasn't involved in that then, so it's not personal like it is for Dave, AA, and Gamzee. The virus part of it was the biggest problem for me. You tell him.
Then, from that, I think that your instinct that stress isn't causing this is probably correct. Though stress doesn't help, especially with your conditions, but it tends to go along with being alive.
Equius says lightly. Wow, Psionic says. You're not sure if it's some audio clip from something or his own speech there. Sucks to be you. Being dead is a great stress-free vacation. Mituna beams, though you know he's not being totally truthful there.
Oh, dear. That was probably insensitive, wasn't it?
Equius says in quiet realization. He must have seen your attention shift from him to what looks like thin air. It's a 50-50 split on being offended and laughing at you for being alive. You explain. Equius pauses for a moment and looks you up and down.
If your ancestor is anything like you and Mituna, well, getting both responses is not surprising. Come with me.
Equius says flatly and walks off as Mituna and Psionic both burst into laughter at your expense. You're not about to open yourself up to more mockery by asking Equius what the treatment for him injuring your pride is. You doubt it'll go well for you. Equius leads you over to an examination bed and has you hop up onto it. He starts to run through the basic things, a swab of your throat and shining a light in your eyes, likely just to see if you've got some low-level infection that could be causing you migraines. Highly unlikely, but it's easy to rule out and doesn't actually take much effort to do. So, EQ, we were thinking we should do another hangout again. You begin. Equius shushes you as he listens to your blood pusher and breathing for a moment or two. When he's done, he stands up fully again, taking the stethoscope arms, is that what they're called? Out of his ears. It's funny that technology has advanced so far, but there's only so good you can make something that lets you hear inside someone's torso.
It was a nice time, Equius says simply, and reaches out for the blood pressure cuff on the side next.
Were you okay with Hal being around? I know you two aren't that familiar with each other, but you seem to hit it off. You observe, with as little insinuation as possible involved.
He is... Equius pauses for a moment and tucks some of his long hair behind his ears in a gesture that's almost shy. He's nice. Well, inasmuch as any of the Striders are. Dave is lovely, and I like and respect Rose a great deal, but both of them and Hal are all... Equius makes a somewhat exasperated sound and waves a hand around vaguely.
They're all very different people, but all of the Striders are incredibly extra about something, as well as being deeply weird and nowhere near as cool as they pretend they are. Yeah. You laugh.
It would be unprofessional of me to comment, but I'm not going to correct you. Even with that in mind, Hal was enjoyable to talk to. If you were asking if I'd mind him coming to more gatherings, then I can tell you I have no problem with that. Hold still for a second.
Equius instructs you. You wait, and the blood pressure cuff beeps. Equius takes it off of you and looks at the readings on his tablet. Do you think he's attractive? You ask bluntly. Equius's blue eyes dart up from his tablet screen to you. He's startled by your question, but he doesn't say anything right away. Did you just come here to matchmake? Mituna blurts out, but Sai shushes him and continues watching you. Evidently, he's invested. You don't think Equius notices your attention flickering away from him for a moment.
I'm not going to deny that he's attractive. Dave is as well. Even though their albinism makes them unusual among humans, I'd say that all of the Striders are conventionally attractive, Hal included. The healing marks and possible scars from the explosion don't change that for Hal. Equius answers you calmly, telling you a lot, but hiding what you're really looking for.
Yeah, but I'm not asking objectively. Are you attracted to Hal? It wouldn't be a problem if you were, since he's not your patient anymore, right? You press him.
I don't have to... I thought we were here for your health, Solix,
Equius says tartly. Ooh, there it is. He's actually into Hal, too. Okay, that's fine. That's all you need to know. We are. I'm just making small talk, you say innocently.
I'm sure. Your basic vitals are fine. Get up. I'm going to get you a high-resolution ThinkSponge scan.
Your very dear friend grumbles at you. Great, you chirp happily. You hop to your feet and follow Equius out of the room, fully committed to taking your intel back to Karkat so you can make this thing happen. Hal's your friend. You want to see him happy. You also want to make fun of him for his blatantly obvious crush on your friend, and then bring up how unbearably awkward he was about the whole thing when they inevitably get together. You know, like a good friend does.
Could I ask if you could ask that your ghosts don't interact with you when you're in the scanner? Or at least not until later. I'm trying to get a clear read.
Equius asks as he opens the door. There's plenty of handheld medical equipment that can get a look inside people, but this stationary setup around a bed is set up for way more detail. Equius isn't skimping out on taking a look at what you've got going on. Sure? Mituna shrugs. Psionic seems a little uneasy, but he nods too. You wonder if the medical setting with a colder-blooded troll is making him uncomfortable, especially now that it's more involved than the most basic tests. Equius pats the bed and then shuffles you about just so when you're up there and has you stay still. The machine starts to quietly whir, and Equius looks at his screen thoughtfully. He's silent for a minute or two, but eventually he does speak.
Nothing seems immediately wrong. There's nothing abnormal like a tumor or any signs that you've had bleeding. If the blood flow is being restricted when you have the migraine, it doesn't appear to be a permanent thing. Nowhere unusual is lighting up right now either.
Equius tells you. That's good, I guess. You frown. It is good. Congratulations on your lack of ThinkSponge tumors. A winner is you. That's not any answer about what's really happening, though, is it?
Would you be able to use your psionics for me? Levitate this?
Equius asks, holding his tablet pen out above you. You psionically take it from his hand and spin it around effortlessly in the air.
And that's all of the usual psionic areas lighting up with blood flow as they should?
He nods. So, are you wanting to test to see how Mituna and psionic show up? You question Equius as he takes his pen back from the air. You let him have it back.
That would be helpful, he agrees.
What do you want us to do? Talk to you, or go over there and slap my hand through your face? Balancing would be bad, right? Mituna calls out.
Oh, interesting, Equius mumbles.
Mituna was talking. Oh, wait, let me... You frown and focus. With a pull, Mituna and Psionic appear right at your side. Then both of them look at where they'd just been standing moments ago. That was 5 fucking feet, man. That was pointless. Mituna snorts, and Psionic makes a sad trombone sound effect. There, I moved them. That's about as much as I can do without balancing, and I'm not supposed to do that just for a party trick. I could throw things off. You tell Equius.
Oh, no, that registered. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I saw it.
Equius says quietly. So, what now then? You can tell Karkat and Dave that you're not dying, but unless you can get in this machine when you next have a migraine, then you don't see what else you can... Can I test one last thing? I've been getting songs stuck in my head, but they're songs I don't know. You start.
Sorry, how does that work?
Aqueous asks, which is a fair response to you saying that you're getting songs that you don't know stuck in your head. I don't know either. There's songs I swear that I don't know, in English, which is a language I don't speak that well, and they're all pre-destruction. I end up singing or humming them without realizing it. Maybe it's nothing, but Carcat mentioned it, and Hal threatened to maim me after I got stuck on one song for ages. You explain. You're trying not to turn your head and screw up the imaging here, but out of the corner of your eye you can see a look of confused focus and mental effort on Aqueous's face. His face cycles through a few variations on trying to understand that before eventually settling on bewildered acceptance.
Maybe we can test that. First, sing something else, he suggests.
Instantly, every song you've ever known evaporates from your mind. But after a little effort, you manage to not balance and also sing as much of the theme tune to a cartoon as you can remember.
Okay, that's as I would expect. If you had a migraine yesterday, do you remember the song that you don't know from that?
Aqueous asks, like he's trying not to say it in a way that suggests this whole situation is bonkers.
You hesitate, but even now, you can feel the words in the tune bubbling up. You start to sing.
Well, a couple hundred traders woke up the other day and declared the mob violence was A-OK after bitching and moaning about it from everyone else. So they put on their surplus tactical gear, grabbed their dumb red hats and chugged a beer and went down to Capitol Hill to embarrass themselves.
Your English is coming out accented, you can hear it. You don't mean accented with Alternian either, but something else instead. Psionic makes an uneasy sound from the side of your bed, and you can see that Matuna looks unsettled too. Oh, Aqueous breathes. You're not balancing. You can feel that you're not. This is coming from somewhere, and you have no idea where. Where are you getting this from? Where? You try to reach out mentally to touch the place when this is coming from. Where? You meant pain lances through your think pan, and you gasp. You clamp your hands to your face as a hellish migraine comes out of nowhere and sinks its teeth right into your think sponge. You're blinded by pain, and you feel Aqueous inject you with something, but it's a while before the pain pulls back enough for you to process anything.
You swallow thickly and feel your teeth ache with the lingering throb of the receding migraine. That's what they feel like, but it's not happened for me singing it before. You croak. That felt nasty, Matuna announces, leaning over you so you can see him. You mean voidy? You groan, looking at him. IDK, not like balancing, but something like that. Nothing got evened out, but... Matuna trails off as Sai looms over him. Matuna steps out of the way so that your ancestor can lean over you, his face close to yours. His ghostly eyes shift as he looks around. Then he raises his fist and knocks on thin air, making a clicking sound effect as he does so. Who's there? Matuna asks uneasily, and you repeat Matuna's question for him. Sai doesn't answer. He just raises his eyebrows like he's saying, "There you go," or "That's the point," something like that. Then he goes back to lurking around the room. When you turn your attention back to Aqueous, you find that he's watching you intently. So, what's happening? You ask quietly, the sound of your own voice making your head ache even more.
I can say that what I saw, with the amount and intensity of activity in your think sponge, is more than enough to explain the lingering pain. It dropped off after you stopped singing into more classical migraine patterns, but you're still clearly recovering from what happened. I would struggle to say that it looked the same way your think sponge did when you brought your ghosts over, because there was so much happening that it's lost in the noise of activity. Aqueous says slowly.
So you don't know. You groan.
No, and I don't think that I can. I would suggest not doing that, if you can help it. If you wanted me to watch what's happening in your head when you actually balance, then I can, but I doubt that'll happen. He continues.
If it'd help, I would. Can I... You wave your arm about and shuffle a leg off of the bed so you can sit up. Aqueous moves to help you. It won't help. He can't compare you to anyone. Like, maybe Karkat and Aradia will let him do this to them, but that's 3 people. It's not helpful. I've been one of that bitch's fucking test subjects. No way is your boy doing this, and he's fucked Gamzee up about it too. And even if they did, then you'd have 5 people. That's not helpful for shit.
Mituna yells. Not like he's angry at you, but it's just intense. You recoil at the idea of putting Dave inside lab equipment, making him do things with balancing on command so a doctorist can look at the results. No way. You couldn't ask him to do that, and you doubt he'd ever agree. He shouldn't have ever had to do that again. He shouldn't have had to do that in the first place. Okay, what can we do? You ask.
I think it might be wise to scan your ThinkSponge after each of these episodes, just to make sure that there's no damage or deterioration. You can try to keep a record of what you're eating and wear a watch that can track your sleep. That way we'll have more data to see if anything sets these off or if there's a way to predict this. Record when it happens and what song it is that gets stuck in your head. I would probably say that the song part is out of my area of expertise, though, Equius says, but it feels like he's grasping at straws here.
I should talk to the other balancers about that. You nod.
Agreed. But as for now, you should make sure that you have the medication for your migraines in stock at all times, and I'll write a note for your work to let them know that this may be a recurring thing. I can also brief Nepeta on this, if you want me to,
Equius says. He's your friend, but right now he's your doctor, and that comes before being Nepeta's Moirel. If you say you don't want him to tell her, then you know he won't. Sure. There's not a lot to tell, but sure. You nod. Equius suggests that you go home and sleep this off. The stuff he gave you was stronger than what you had at home, so you had about enough energy to catch everyone up in the balancer chat and then pass out at home. You stir from wakefulness at the vague sensation of movement, but by the time you start waking up, you're on a soft bed. Can ask, but I don't know what to do. Reaches you through the sleepy haze of your mind. We have to do something. Karkat's deep, rumbling voice breaks through, and you manage to open your eyes.
Hey, we have signs of life,
Dave says, and the bright red of his eyes comes into focus for you. He's looking right at you. Hey, how are you feeling? Karkat asks, his voice quiet and soothing. He gently runs his fingers along your scalp and around your horns, getting a pathetically happy chirp from you in the process. How'd I get in your bed? You croak.
Karkat picked you up and carried you in here. Can confirm.
Dave grins. His gaze flickers over Karkat in a way that tells you he very much enjoyed the sight of that.
You bet he did.
You were on a stupid angle on the lounge plank. You were going to get a crick in your neck, and that'd do your headache no favors. Of course I carried you somewhere better. Karkat tells you, missing the point with acrobatic grace. You yawn and stretch, your joints cracking in a few places. Before you fell asleep, you still felt pretty rough, but now you're mostly okay, albeit a little numb and spacey. How do you feel? Dave asks. He's paying attention to you, but he's not immediately going to fussing. The contrast between him and Karkat's concerned hovering over you is almost funny. Fuzzy, but it doesn't hurt now. I'm good. You answer. Dave nods, but his expression is intense. The closest description you have for what this would be that he's in sailor mode. He's treating this like a problem on a mission. But you said that Equius told you there's nothing wrong, right? He's not concerned that you're gonna drop down dead or have a stroke or something. Karkat asks you, with deep concern weighing him down. I'm fine. He said there's nothing wrong there, but he did tell me to avoid things that might give me a stroke or whatever. I'm not supposed to sing any song lyrics that come into my head, which is weird since it didn't do that before. But I figured other things dangerous to my ThinkSponge's well-being are off the table, like smashing my head into a wall to give me ThinkSponge damage, reading Dave's webcomic, you know. You grin teasingly. Oh, maybe you do have ThinkSponge damage. You just said that same thing twice. Karkat gasps in unconvincing innocence. All great artists are unappreciated in their time. It's fine. Dave pouts. And also you add. Here I am, caring about your well-being, and all I get is disrespect.
I can't believe this, Dave says dramatically.
I wish I knew what this was all about, why this is happening, and why it's only happening to you. It's clearly connected to this door we keep seeing, Karkat says with a frown. That you keep seeing. I haven't seen anything weird. You correct him. Try a mirror, then. Besides, the door thing makes me nervous. There are things on the other side of doors. They're meant to open. It's sort of the whole point about them. I don't want to open any spooky door to anything, thanks, Karkat says with an almost comedically intense scowl on his face. I think Psionic was trying to reference something about a door when I was talking to Equius about how the song did this, even though it's a song I don't know. Ugh, I wish I knew what was going on, you say in frustration. I don't! Wondering about shit like that is how mysteries get you. I'm not getting curious about anything. Curiosity will not kill this cat or anyone else for that matter, Karkat insists.
Maybe you're not curious, but I am. It's obvious that whatever this is that's hurting Solix is connected to the void. It's not just stress or Think Sponge being a dick to him, Dave says grimly. Something about the way he's talking and holding himself has changed. He's uncomfortable and unhappy. You don't like it. From the closed-off expression on his face to his tense body language, you don't like it one bit. Dave? You call out to him quietly. Sorry for this,
Dave says. Before you can ask what he's sorry for, you feel the balance of light and dark around you pull, and Bro appears out of thin air. He sees you and Karkat, and his expression is clearly disgusted. What a fucking hypocrite. His whole family line is LGBT of some flavor. He's the one acting like they're against the norm, but he's the odd one out here.
Tell me what you know about what's going on with Solix and this door thing, Dave orders Bro. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't care, Bro tells him flatly.
Bullshit! We've been seeing this round door-like thing in our dreams, with lights all around it, and there's more lights each time. Every time it happens, it gives Solix a migraine from hell, so whatever this is, it's screwing with the void. You're a shit person, but you're not suicidal. If this thing can hurt him, then it can hurt me. If it can hurt me, it can kill me, and if I die, then you disappear, Dave argues. Bro looks at you. This time his expression is lacking the contempt that it had before. He frowns as he stares at you, then finally turns back to Dave.
This door thing's just in your dreams, not a physical thing here? He asks.
Yeah, but whatever is happening, it's affecting Solix when he's awake. He's never seen it though, right? Dave looks at you as he says that, and you shake your head.
Who else has seen it?
Bro questions him. If anything, Dave is more tense now than he was at the start of it. You realize why with some horror. Bro is interested in what's happening and what he can learn from Dave. That's gotta be uncomfortably familiar.
Gamzee and Karkat, no one else as far as I know. No ghosts,
Dave answers, his words clipped and economically brief.
Huh. Okay. It's nothing to do with me. I don't know anything about it. A door is a very specific thing to manifest, especially if 3 of you are seeing it the same way. Interesting,
Bro says thoughtfully.
Great, you've been no help. Get lost,
Dave hisses at him. Bro's expression shifts into something slightly amused. He steps closer to Dave, and you can hear him say something, but his voice is so low that you can't make out what exactly. Before you can react, it's clear that whatever he said hit its mark with Dave. Dave's eyes are wide, and he's not breathing. Bro's attention flickers to you and Karkat. He smiles meanly and murmurs something else to Dave.
No, shut up. You don't... It's not...
Dave tries to defend himself. White light floods the room for a split second like a camera flash, and then Silas is there. His face goes from polite surprise to rage instantly. Bro's face flashes fear, and he darts away through the ceiling, with Silas instantly after him. You get your wits together and grab Matuna and Psionic to you. Bro went that way! You tell them both urgently, pointing to the spot in the ceiling that Bro escaped through. With nothing more than a high speed, "It's on!" The 2 of them are gone, hot on Bro's trail. Dave is still as a statue, not looking at either of you, not even breathing. Karkat catches your eye with a panicked look, and it's him who speaks first and moves to his feet. Dave, I hope it was okay for me to get signless here. It didn't look like... Dave, you need to breathe. Karkat reminds him gently. Karkat takes one step towards Dave, and at once Dave breathes in with a deep and terrified breath. It's okay, Dave. It's okay. Karkat says softly and leans a little closer. It's clearly far too close, even though Karkat isn't even within arm's reach of Dave yet. Dave backs up in panicked alarm, his elbow banging into the wall hard enough to make you wince in sympathy. Don't touch me, Dave blurts out. He won't, right? You insist, and Karkat nods emphatically. I'm fine. It's just him getting under my skin. I don't care about him. I don't care what he thinks. I don't need him. Dave insists. You're the one who can banish him. He's pissed that you've got the power, and all he can do is talk shit. You agree, trying to remind Dave that he's the one in control here. Right. And it doesn't mean anything. Even if either of you had... It doesn't mean anything about me. Your Kismesis mutters, lacing his fingers behind the back of his neck like the pressure helps him calm down. Either that, or protecting somewhere vulnerable like his neck is soothing to him. He was getting on your case about us, Karkat concludes. You know he's right. You saw how Bro looked from Dave to you two. About what it says about me, that I'd let either or both of you... Dave shakes his head. You don't know what to do here. Dave doesn't look like he's panicking now, or at least that's not entirely what's happening. He's on edge, but he seems angry and volatile in a way that seems like it's bad for him. He's wrong. I'd be lucky. Fuck it, I need to go. I'm gonna go to the gym before I punch a wall and injure myself from being this goddamn angry. Sorry. Dave hisses, and with that he turns and leaves. You and Karkat look at each other. You're not sure that you should go after him, but clearly you two have to say something about this to him. If not now, then later. You hear the front door open and then shut again. Later it is, then. I'm gonna take a guess and say that Bro was implying that being with us degrades Dave. That shit earth homophobic idea that getting fucked by a guy is degrading. Karkat says with quiet anger. Angry air quotes and all. You'd ask if that makes you exempt from that idea, since you're apparently lacking when it comes to gender, but you're pretty sure that Bro would consider you worse because of that. It wouldn't help Dave's case at all. It's pretty obvious what Bro's trying to do, though. He's trying to push the two of you away from Dave, to make Dave too tangled up in Bro's shitty views to be happy with you two. Actually, you don't know if Bro even knows that both of you are dating Dave yet. Then again, Dave did tell you before that Bro would accuse any guy he wasn't related to who was close to Dave of being secretly into him. I don't get that at all. You sigh and drop back onto Karkat's bed. It's a mess of machismo, misogyny, power dynamics, and homophobia. I'm sure there was similar shit with the Hema spectrum when it came to some concupiscent quadrants with various relationships dynamics or something. Goodness knows people always find new ways to be disappointing. Karkat growls. I don't think so. I mean, if AA had been pitch for Feferi, then how did that be bad? You point out. You think that some people wouldn't see that as the Empress having a low-blood pet to smack around? That Aradia, psionics or not, would just be debased to being some toy for her? Karkat challenges you. You open your mouth to protest. That's nowhere near the truth. I know. Neither of them would ever think like that, and I pity anyone who thinks they can control Aradia. But you see what I mean. People have shitty opinions, you know? Karkat sighs and sits down on the bed again with you. That's shit, you grumble. It's shitty that Bro's sunk enough of that into Dave's head for his words to connect. But... Karkat pauses and smiles a petty little smile. Obviously, it doesn't go all the way. He was denying that Bro's point was true, and he did say that he'd be lucky if what Bro implied would actually happen. Yeah, you've not gone far enough to test that theory with Dave yet, but you know he's keen on the two of you paling eventually. You hope that you never make him feel like that, though. You want to beat him at whatever metric you're measuring by at the time, but you want to do it by being better and smarter, not by pushing him down and making him less. Some people do lean into the actual degrading stuff when they talk about their spade. Aside from mild insults and things where you're obviously joking, it's not something you do. Mainly because you wouldn't like it back. You talk enough shit to yourself when you feel awful. You don't want someone else doing it. Karkat's the exception, because you know he never means any of it. Plus, the things he does when he insults people is simply incredible to hear. Karkat hesitates. If this thing actually holds out, if I don't screw everything up and bomb this entire relationship before it gets that far, I'm not gonna let him feel like that. I'm gonna make sure that he feels the opposite of everything bro says. Karkat's expression is determined and vengeful. He's clearly set himself a mission here. Apparently, his mission involves paling Dave in a way that makes him feel whatever the opposite of degraded is. Appreciated? That seems a little mild. That sounds like he's gonna send Dave a digital greeting card afterwards that says, "Thank you for the sex, it was nice. Sincerely, Karkat." You shake with laughter that you're barely keeping down. That's the dumbest thing you've ever thought. Now you have to send that to Dave when you get the chance. Maybe you can even edit in Dave's terrible comic characters into it. What? Karkat asks with an exasperated sigh. Nothing, I just had a thought. You snicker. Try not to. It's taxing enough for you already, let alone the state that you're in now. Karkat says dryly. See? When he insults you, it's great! You roll your eyes at Karkat and settle yourself back comfortably on his bed, not twisting to look where Dave was or pushed up on one arm to talk to Karkat. You store that little idea about the formal thank you card into your mental collection of things to do to annoy Dave pitchways and leave it for the time being. Instead, you try to focus on how your head feels now. The pain has reduced to a dull ache, one that, happily, doesn't flare up more with light or sound. If you had to make a call, then you'd rule this pain as the lingering after effects of your migraine, rather than an active one that's just been reduced. You can't get hurt because of this. This door, these songs, whatever, Karkat says, and oh so gently combs his claws through your hair. I can't? You ask. What does he know that you don't? No, you're not allowed. I've decided. So you better cut that shit out, he tells you stubbornly. Definitely how that works. You laugh. Glad you agree, Karkat murmurs, still petting your hair. You draw breath to say something, some dumb comeback, but the words die before they can pass your lips. Karkat is looking down at you, his gaze downcast and worried, even if he's not trying to show it. He's concerned for you, which isn't new for Karkat. It's not like you're an endless disaster who's always in trouble or in danger, but it's not all that rare for something to be going on with you that'd cause Karkat some concern. You've been the recipient of countless concerned looks from Karkat, expressions of empathy with your pain or anger that something could be hurting you. It's just that, well, it's always been your best friend giving you those looks. Okay, sure, it's not like you got together yesterday, and Karkat's obviously been concerned for you in the time since then. Karkat is concerned about everything. But this is the first time that something has actually been wrong for you, that you've been in some kind of real distress or pain, and Karkat's been your Moiro for it. You two have jammed and talked since you got together. Intimacy and pale things have been done, but this is different. The line of best friend who has Gamzee as his Moirail isn't there anymore. There's no need to be aware of what it's okay to want or how close to that line either of you are. You've both wandered too close to that line before, never crossing it, but sometimes you'd have to pull back, just in case Karkat didn't. You don't have to do that now. You don't have to watch the situation. You can just be in it. Karkat Vantis is your Moirail, and he cares about you. You were in pain. You got home and passed out on the lounge plank, so he brought you into his respite block and bed to make you feel better. To keep you somewhere that's his territory, somewhere where you won't cramp your neck up from sleeping stupidly, somewhere he can care for you. It's dumb, basic cliche shit, but it's actually real now. Karkat's right here, petting your hair as he radiates concern and tells you that you're not allowed to get hurt because he doesn't want that for you. What is it? Karkat asks in that gravelly voice that you and Dave like so much and Karkat detests. He's obviously caught some change of expression on your face, though goodness knows what it is. Nothing. It's just... I'm caught up in trouble again, you managed to say. Again, Karkat says bitterly, like he's some innocent thing that's not perpetually getting involved in shit he shouldn't be. Shut up. I mean that it's actually your problem. You psionically hold Karkat's hand still and tip your head back against the pillow so it's closer to your face and then let him go. Officially your problem. Karkat's eyes widen a little as he catches on to your train of thought. You like it when Karkat's smile gets a little mean. You see Myrels sometimes who are pathetically sweet and gentle all the time with each other. That feels patronizing to you, or maybe it's the thing that Karkat said before, how he got to you when your thing sponge was developing and made you associate Karkat's brand of spiteful adoration with true love. Either way, he's got your number. You're officially a problem full stop for everyone. Karkat grins at you. I've just fallen on that particular hand grenade to spare everyone else. And as the martyr in this situation, I'm telling you to quit it. Whatever this is, cut it out. If it's something else doing this to you, then it's going to have to answer to me. And I've got a mouthful of yelling and newly trained and very busy fists. Oh no, you wheeze with laughter. Shut your face, this is serious business. I'm not tolerating any of whatever this is from whatever the cause of it is. No clarification needed. Karkat says no is all that needs to be said on the matter. Karkat says firmly, and then, smooth as you like, shifts his hand from where it had been, gently resting on your face, to a frankly devastating tap on your cheek. Yeah, you mumble dumbly. Exactly none of any of that. Karkat agrees, and repeats his very precise introduction of his fingers to your face, sending all of your thoughts scattering to the ground like loose screws from a knocked-over toolkit. Your worries about these recurring migraines and what they might mean, whatever Bro said to Dave, how long these pain meds will last, all of it rolls away from you. There's no version of you watching yourself to make sure it doesn't go this far. You just are. Right now, what you are is in Karkat's hands. You've told him what's happening, and he's focusing on how you're doing. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to. You've never not trusted Karkat, not when it comes to something important. But you've never been able to hand him your entire being and know that he can do anything he wants, that he can have all of that and keep you safe. It doesn't matter that Karkat's actual request is stupid. If you really try to think about it, you know that Karkat can't order whatever supernatural void force is doing this to quit it and have that work. The sentiment is sweet, but it's basically a joke. It's not really the point of this, though, is it? The point is that you're hurt, that he's yours and you're his, and that he can do anything he wants to about it for the first time ever. It doesn't matter that you don't know when this song thing will happen next, or that Karkat can't protect you from the pain of the ensuing migraine, that he can't know about the door and when it's going to... Karkat shooshes you, and that thought, along with all others, is brushed away with his fingers on your face. You're vaguely aware sometime later when Silas comes back to tell Karkat that Sai took Bro out, but you're not really with it enough to pay attention to the conversation much at all. When Dave gets back that evening, having vented his frustrations at the gym and avoided thinking by building the ship, you're reminded that his red feelings for Karkat run on the paler side just like yours do. What you mean to say is that Karkat bullies you both into eating dinner, and then... Actually, you can take your lead from Dave here. Don't have inside thoughts. Share the dumb shit in your head with everyone else. Dave, you're pale for KK, you say, and bite into your pizza. Karkat gives you a look that clearly asks where the hell you're going with this, as Dave lowers his can of cola and swallows. I'm human, so it's not exactly... Dave makes an indecisive noise, like a, yeah, sorta, kinda, type of sound. Yeah, but you do quadrants. You're pitch for me, you point out. Sure, if you want to be technical about it, there's red in there too, and the pair of you have boundaries that aren't entirely standard for Black Rom, even if they're not outlandish either. But you're not here for technicalities. Clearly you just broke my brain and my sexuality, Dave snorts. He would break two things. Karkat observes lightly, and the conversation has to pause so that Dave can fist bump him for that. My point was that, aside from you thinking that Karkat is hot, you start. What the fuck? Karkat says, and is ignored by everyone. You also have pale feelings for him as well. I get that human culture finds pale shit harder to tease out, but you did say it before. You continue. It was more of a warning that I'm gonna dumbly stumble between flush and pale with zero clue about what I'm doing. I meant that I have all of the feelings with that, but none of the relationship literacy. As in, if your Moirail stuff with him had to be exclusively you and him, then I'd be a liability, and also probably a terrible actual Moirail. Dave clarifies. That's fine, not what I was getting at. Neither of us have had a Moirail before. Karkat's never had a mate sprint. You and I both... You begin. Yeah, you're asking feelings-wise and not about competency at the actual thing. So, yes, I am pale for Karkat. What's the point? Dave asks. Please do get to a point. Karkat agrees flatly, finishes his slice of pizza, and rests his arms on the back of the lounge plank. My point was that Karkat was totally convinced that his whole deal was so terrible it'd never work with anyone. We've both had a rough day, and he's bullied us both into eating, and he has casually sat here with his arms around both of us like he's not just absolutely drowning in bitches. You say, with a grin so wide it makes your face hurt. Dave's trying to keep his expression serious, but the corner of his mouth is losing its battle against the same shitty kind of smirk that you've got going on. It's us. We're bitches. Dave intones seriously. Yes, you are. Karkat hisses irritably, clearly meaning it as an insult instead of how you and Dave mean it. There's a moment where you and Dave look at each other, and then you both spring into action. You throw yourself over Karkat's lap in the most provocatively pale way you can imagine, as Dave plasters himself to Karkat's side and pulls Karkat's arm that had been on the back of the lounge plank around him. Why, Mr. Vantis, Dave says breathily, and that's as far as this can go before you dissolve into giggles. Aw, you blew it, Dave tuts, letting you know that he's the one who won that competition to keep up with the bit without losing composure. I can't even be mad. I literally knew what you two were like before I agreed to this. I knew this would be the sort of nonsense I'd experience. Karkat groans. Tragic, Dave murmurs and gently presses a kiss to the corner of Karkat's jaw. Not to be outdone, you reach up and run your fingers through Karkat's hair and rub the pads of your fingertips into his hornbeds. Karkat looks like he's enjoying himself and is mad about it, which checks out. Okay, see, now you're both just being competitive with each other in the arena of being nice to me, Karkat points out loudly. It's fucking quadratic anarchy up in here. Dave sighs sweetly and kisses Karkat on the cheek in just the right place for the gesture to be blatantly pale. Such a noble sacrifice for us, you agree. It is. I'm an absolute martyr for this cause. The things I do, Karkat says dramatically, and that makes Dave snicker in amusement. I win, you tell him, since he's the one who broke his poker face that time. Dave mutters under his breath and flicks you on the forehead. You make the mature and adult decision to not squabble with your kismesis across your Moirail's body, and you're very proud of your restraint, too. Even if Dave did cuddle right up close to Karkat to tease him, he doesn't move back to his earlier place. Karkat does end up with Dave curled against his side all evening, with your head perfectly resting on Karkat's thighs. Somehow, you even end up sleeping like that. Your best guess is that Dave slumped back onto the lounge plank cushions and took Karkat with him, since Karkat's nuzzled against his chest. The movement either made you slip off of Karkat's leg enough to make you move, or Karkat dragged you up there with him. You say this because now, instead of your head resting on his leg, you're halfway up his body with your head on his stomach and your arm draped around him and Dave both. It's still somehow one of the best night's sleep you had in ages. Dave's palm husk ringing jolts him awake and stirs you slightly from your sleep. Dave trying to lift his hips off of the lounge plank to answer it, thus moving Karkat and subsequently you, wakes you up more. Diga? Dave mumbles as he answers. Who's Diga? You ask with a yawn. You hear a muffled voice and laughing on the other end, and Dave's expression freezes. It's not a name, it's a greeting, Karkat informs you. Dave falls back on the lounge plank with one hand over his reddening face. It sounds like whoever called him is finding this very funny. Dave retorts something sharply in Spanish, but that's of no help to you. Dave pauses and then replies, again in Spanish. Karkat is clearly listening, but he turns his attention to you when Dave drops your name mid-sentence. You kind of like hearing him speak Spanish. Not understanding the words means you get to pay more attention to the way he speaks, and that sounds pretty nice to you. Who's he talking to? Family, right? Who else speaks Spanish? You whisper to Karkat. So many people speak Spanish. It's one of the most spoken human languages, dipshit. But Karkat pauses and listens for another moment. I think he's speaking to Hal. Why would Hal be... You freeze as dread fills you. Oh, fuck, what time is it? You put your hand to your pocket, but your palm husk isn't there. It's 10:50, Karkat informs you, looking at his own palm husk. I'm late for work! You yelp and jump into the air and fly to your door. There's your palm husk, abandoned on your bed. As you touch it, you see the screens pop up about your alarm. It doesn't ring indefinitely. It'll go for a certain length of time, stop, and then start again if you don't turn it off. Clearly you couldn't hear it from the other room. You hurriedly change your clothes, only realizing partway through that you left the door open. But, whatever. Dave's got changed around you plenty of times, and you're dating both of these guys, so it's fine. Hal's gonna be insufferable now, Dave warns you as you hurry past him. What else is new? You retort, and leave the hive as fast as you can. You haul ass to your work as fast as you can. Unfortunately, there aren't many areas that you can cut down on time by flying. The ship is hardly built to have large areas of useless dead space in. The ship has a finite size, and unless the open area is being used to create an open space for people to use, then it's not included. It's way more important to make spaces for people to live and work in as big as possible, instead of cutting the dimensions down to allow psionics with poor time management to fly through the ship unimpeded. You are also not dumb enough to try to fly through the train tunnels, because they are precisely big enough for the trains, and aren't made to accommodate people in there too. You're not about to become a cautionary tale just to get to work a few minutes faster. When you hurry through the doors to your office, you reconsider your haste to get here. In fact, you wish you hadn't got here at all. Hal's face is impossibly smug and punchable as he swivels around in his chair to look at you. Late, I see. Too much sleeping in. Or around, one of those. Hal grins. You're hilarious, you tell him flatly. It's my cross to carry, the struggles I go through. I never knew that you being involved with my brother and Karkat would cause such disruption to your work, Hal says, sounding scandalized. Yeah, well, at least the people I wanted to date knew about it. I don't see you telling Equius that you're interested in him. Instead, you're just here on time. You shoot back and lean over your keyboard to log in quickly. One of us has to be, Hal retorts, looking less amused now. Or you could talk to him, and then we could just let your program deal with most of our work, you suggest as you drop into your chair and spin around to face him. Maybe we wouldn't have so much work if you weren't always in other people's business or on their junk, Hal says sharply and turns back to his screen quickly. Ooh, that touched a nerve. You're pretty sure that Hal is convinced that Equius isn't interested in him at all. It sucks to be that wrong, but evidently Hal isn't going to take you interfering in this well. Also, you bet that if you tried messaging Equius or Nepeta from here, that he'd know about it. Out of apology for being late, and as a gesture of apology for getting under his skin earlier, you decide to get on the hardware repairs that are waiting. After a while, the atmosphere becomes a little less frosty, and you'd venture another line of conversation. Hey, can I ask you something about Dirk? You ask carefully. What about him? Hal sighs. He sounds irked, but you think that's more to do with Dirk as a topic instead of how he feels about you asking. Dave kind of said that Dirk had more or less followed your whole path of apologizing for things. He just took way longer to do it. He hasn't said how that's going, though, or how you and Dirk are doing, since it seemed pretty hostile before. You say. Yeah, well,
There's a reason we don't work together anymore. Me and Dirk don't exactly gel. It's way easier for him to assume the worst about me instead of thinking that he's done something wrong. Just project your flaws onto the other guy with your face.
Hal sneers and types away sharply, clearly pissed at the idea. You don't ask if the same thing goes the other way, but you're pretty sure that you know the answer already. You wait silently, because you know better than to try to wrench an inadvertently emotionally revealing Strider tangent, trademark, back on course. They'll get back on their own eventually, and interfering in it often just spawns more tangents.
He's kind of pissed that I didn't explain how I got Dave to forgive me. Even though I basically did. I told him that we were wrong to do what we did, and that I apologized. The only thing I didn't tell him was the motive that made me realize all of that. But he admitted that if I'd told him, then he probably wouldn't have realized it, or he'd have rejected it and then not thought of it himself. Mostly he's just angry that he didn't see it sooner. He hates himself for it, and gets why I didn't say.
Hal adds quietly. That's not on you, and Dave would have been really messed up about it if you'd given the right answers to everyone else. If that's a thing that's possible to do. You point out.
Yeah, well.
Hal shrugs and turns around in his seat to look at you.
He's not told me how things are going with him and Dave. I know they're talking, but that's it. I'm gonna guess that it's not going great, just from how upset he seems. But hey, maybe that's just because things with him and Jake are rough too. Why, are you asking me to find out?
No, I was just wondering is all. I know he's trying to mend things with Rose. You start.
I didn't know that.
Hal interrupts you. You and Hal stare at each other, and you're acutely aware that you've made a serious error. No, you don't, because there's nothing to know. You heard nothing. You tell him.
Sure, I didn't hear a thing. I'll give myself brain damage again and forget that.
Hal agrees quickly. Behind him, the door to your office opens, just in time for Equius to catch what he said.
Medically speaking, that's not a good idea,
Equius says slowly. Hal spins around in his chair lightning fast. You're impressed that he doesn't fall out of it.
Equius!
Hal squeaks. He was joking. No deliberate head trauma going on here. You assure Equius.
Ideally, no accidental head trauma as well,
Equius says, with a slight smile pulling at the corner of his mouth. I make no promises, EQ. You snicker, and then make yourself very obviously focused on the husk top repair before you.
Hal, do you have a moment?
Equius asks as you work, hoping that what little of your grin you can't suppress is hidden as you peer into the husk top case.
Yes. What can I do for you?
Hal asks.
Hopefully this isn't too abrupt, but I'd prefer to expedite things before other parties, such as my dear beloved Moirel, get involved.
Equius says, even though his description of Nepeta somehow feels grudging. You'd say that you bet that Nepeta has been on his case about Hal, but no one would be willing to bet against Nepeta getting involved in Equius's love life.
Expedite things,
Hal repeats.
Yes, I hope it's not too direct and that I'm not misreading the situation, but I strongly enjoyed your company before, and I felt that you enjoyed mine. Seeing as I am no longer your doc-terrorist, it's not legally inappropriate for me to ask if you would be interested in meeting with me to see if we're compatible at all. One-on-one, I mean, and I could also give you my Trollian information for the same purpose, as well as making any kind of scheduling easier.
Equius says in the most formal way possible. You look up from your work when the silence drags on longer than it should. Hal is staring up at Equius in silent shock, and you hope he says something soon, because Equius is starting to look uncertain.
Not that they're mutually exclusive. They probably shouldn't be, but are you asking as a friend or as a date?
Hal manages finally.
I suppose the purpose of this would be to determine that, but truthfully I had intended on the latter. Though, if you're certain that there's no romantic interest, I would...
Equius starts.
No! No, I'm interested. I would definitely be interested in seeing you and talking to you on Trollian to see if there's anything there. On your end, obviously I'm interested in...
Hallis got to his feet with his palm husk in hand and uses it to wave at all of Equius's body and his musculature.
Same,
Equius says quietly, with a lot of emphasis. You hear Hal's breath catch as Equius very blatantly looks at him.
I can give you my...
Hal murmurs and flicks at the screen of his palm husk, making Equius's light up and buzz as his contact information transfers across.
Thank you. Tell me, Solux, does the husk top repair itself just from you leaning over it?
Equius asks pointedly. Hey, I'm just trying to stay still and not interrupt the mating behavior of greatest nerdus. You shoot back right away.
If anything, that'd be giganteus ingenium, I think. Wow, my Latin is rusty.
Hal corrects you, oblivious to the expression on Equius's face. Specifically, Equius is giving Hal the kind of look you'd give Dave if you were watching Dave strip his shirt off deliberately, slowly, just to give you a show.
I will message you about a date and a time. For our date. I must go,
Equius says stiffly. Hal looks at Equius, and it clicks just why Equius is suddenly talking in such an awkward way. Hal smiles slowly, almost identical to the smile that Dave gets when he's got you right where he wants you. Poor Equius is clearly even weaker to that than you are. His skin is slightly shiny with sweat and tinting blue right before your very eyes.
That sounds great,
Hal says smoothly, and with a confidence that clearly flusters Equius.
Excellent. I must go now,
Equius manages, and hastily leaves the room. You and Hal watch Equius go through the frosted glass, waiting as he leaves the department, and then a little longer, in case he abruptly returns.
Don't,
Hal warns you, still watching through the glass, just in case. I didn't say anything. I didn't comment on your weird nerd flex, or how I was right about you two. Didn't say a thing. You tell him innocently.
That's a lot of saying something for someone who isn't saying anything,
Hal points out, giving you a look. I'm talented like that. Are we both going to be late to work now, or do we have to work out some kind of schedule? You ask him innocently.
I'm going to shove that screwdriver up your nose and into your think sponge,
Hal threatens you. But then Equius will be too busy helping me to play doctor with you. No! Your excellent comeback cut off as you have to break into a sprint to avoid Hal as he chases you around the table.
You are, by every metric, a gracious winner. Everyone says that about you. Or something close to that, anyway.